So you need to go back and Google it right now and sit down and educate yourself.
Yeah.
Music is music, no matter the
generation. We back, ladies and gentlemen. We back, and so I'm gonna let you talk to me about a little bit of your theory on the alien situation type of deal, because I know they out there, my fool. I know they out there.
They are, and it's being covered up. It's being fed to us as we can digest it, and part of me respects that, because the average person that's in their bubble, like I was talking about earlier, that's consuming what they're told to consume, that's doing what they're told to do all day, every day, they couldn't handle the fact that maybe some of their belief systems may not be 100% correct, or that those belief systems were instilled to govern us in a different way. It's just a matter of you opening your own mind and you trying to seek the truth for yourself. But, I touched on the fact that I thought some of these aliens, they are interdimensional, not necessarily extraterrestrial. Because if you look at the science, and it's we're not there yet. We haven't figured out how, but the wormhole, I think Star Trek had more of it right than we know. I think that
Bradbury was abducted by aliens, and all that stuff was put in his head.
Yeah, the warp. I think it's just a wormhole. I think the wormhole theory is correct. It's just a matter of accessing, and that's where I think the Bigfoots and all that crap come in. There's holes, there's portals.
Yeah, because I heard a story once. There's this lady in the Smoky Mountains. She went outside, thought an animal was in her trash. She looks, and it was Bigfoot. He's standing there plain as day, and she lifted her shotgun and shot, and she said it was like a camera flash, and he disappeared.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard that about that particular incident. And who's to say these Bigfoot, they're not us, because they call them the missing link. They're our evolutionary gap between ape. If I don't particularly believe that we came from apes, I do know that evolution's real. I know the Big Bang's real. There's no doubt in my mind. But as a Christian, I was able to consolidate it. I was able to make sense of it because I have issues with the Old Testament. But the Big Bang, if it still had to come from something. The atom that exploded and created everything still had to come from something. And to me, it makes more sense that a creator said, "Okay, boom, let there be whatever," and it happened. That's pretty amazing, no matter how it occurred, whether it was a random event. But to me, the design of our bodies, the design of our planet, the location of our planet. I mean, we're on a rock, floating in free space in a vacuum next to a gigantic ball of fire.
We're who's in Whoville, yo.
We're are.
Itty bitty little speck of nothing.
I mean, it's too perfect to be random. It just is. I can't wrap my head around it. That's why when I meet an atheist, I try to always respect everyone else's opinions. And for me, it's just hard to understand atheism. I understand every other religion, but not atheism, because to say there's no creator is just whether it's the Christian deity or not, it doesn't matter. To say there's no creator just blows my mind. I can't wrap my head around that.
I think that those people, whether or not they believe it or not, what's going to happen is going to happen.
Yeah, that's true.
They believe whatever they can believe.
I just seek understanding. I mean, I want to know. I'm nosy like that.
Yeah.
But check this out, man. All right, so we got aliens. Okay.
Yeah, they're out there.
I think that's how. The course of events that they call the end or whatever, the rebirth, maybe like you were touching on earlier, Revelation, it describes basically shit hitting the fan, Christ coming back and making it all right. You got to get to the point where there's a one world government, right? You've heard those.
Yeah.
You got to get people to that point, because right now, Americans, there's no way in hell we're gonna fall in line with some guy over in Europe telling us how we're gonna roll things down this in Alabama. Right, but
the bankers are trying real hard.
The bankers are working real hard, and it's a cooperative effort. And I think that the only thing that could really bring the whole planet to one understanding, as the government wants you to think, is to have a cataclysmic thing, either a huge natural disaster, but it's hard to do one without killing everybody to have that kind of significance. Or what if there was an outside threat? Ronald Reagan said in the 80s during a speech. He said, "How petty would our differences be if we had a threat from the outside?" And I think the presidents have been in the know for a while, but I believe that these aliens are actually fallen angels. Some of them are fallen angels. I think that they're here to bring about the end. to get where we're headed to plan.
You bring that up, and I believe that you and I were still hanging out whenever Independence Day came out.
Absolutely.
And that whenever the alien spaceships first show up in that movie, they touch on that a little bit. They show different people from different worlds of life, on our planet, looking up at this same thing and all stopping and looking together, going, "What the fuck is that?"
That would immediately put all of our black, white, Puerto Rican, it doesn't matter. That's done now. We're people. And
all differences would be put aside, and we'd be like,
and they're going to enlighten us. They're going to tell us how we need to govern and how there's not a God because, hey, And I just think that's how it goes down. Then that takes you to the next level of thought and why, if the universe is that big and that deal, why do you have this game going on?
Well, I've been reading a lot about, and this is the thing about me now is back then I used to worry about what was next and what had been and where we're going and blah blah blah, and then what happened to me was I realized that from reading people like MLK and Eckhart Tolle and Gandhi and Mother Teresa and you even Malcolm X, you see a transition in the paradigm of their own lives. And Nelson Mandela, for instance, just recently I read his autobiography, which is like fucking 30 hours long, But you got to a point to where you see that it's all about this moment right now. It's all about how I'm choosing to treat my fellow human man. And, it's like Michael Jackson said in that song that I can't remember who wrote it, but it's somebody else wrote it. And she said in it that, she got to start. Individual revolution is what we're talking about. So you have to look yourself in the mirror every day and say, today I'm not going to be this. Today I'm not going to be this. Today I'm not going to be this. And what the problem is a lot of people want to make an excuse about the world changing them into this. Well, I tried to be a good person and I can't do it because everybody else is bad, so I might as well be bad too. Fuck that bullshit, man. If you're not willing to make the change yourself, it's like Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world. If you're not willing to make the change yourself, then how the fuck could you even expect anybody else to make the change?
You can't.
And so that's where forgiveness and love comes in for me, and I try to love people across the board and forgive people across the board and they get on my fucking nerves, man. People are ignorant assholes. I hate to tell you this, but a lot of the people that I have to deal with on a daily basis as far as business goes, they're assholes.
Yep.
And the people that
they think they're in control of something they're really not.
Yeah, and they're trying to control something that they can't ever control.
Futile.
And so the people that I keep really close to me, they understand that, and they know, today is the day where we're going to have a high quality of life in this moment right now. We're not going to dwell on what happened 5 minutes ago. We're not going to think about what's going to happen 5 minutes from now. And so all we got to do is make every decision in our minds with love in our hearts at first and foremost, and then we'll make the right decision every time.
That's the fact. That you said that. How can you do something? Expect someone else to do it if you're not willing to do it?
Right.
And I think that's an excellent point because it comes down to our Creator trying to tell us how he wants us to be. He tried it one way, but see, this is what I'm about to say kind of makes him sound a little fallible instead of infallible. But he tried the wrath and vengeance piece. It didn't work. Obviously, we just didn't care. Free will is a bitch. It's one of our greatest blessings and one of our greatest curses, and I think that's why we're in the pickle we're in. Because you set things in motion with free will. It messed things up, but I think that's why he came here to show us that, hey, I'm willing to hurt, I'm willing to be mocked, I'm willing to be beaten by you,
right? So
and I'm willing to die just so you know what you're experiencing on Earth is absolute minute and so insignificant you have no idea.
Right. Now, I might upset a few people earlier with my comment about the Bible being bullshit, but let me rephrase that, okay? A lot of people put a bunch of weight into words, and let me tell
Absolutely
you, this is the thing. is I believe in the lessons of the Bible, the spiritual lessons, the spiritual teachings in the Bible are moral teachings that are sound, and I do believe in them. It's like the woman that she cheated on her husband, and her husband finds out. Jesus is at a well getting some water out of the well, and she runs to Jesus and she's like, Jesus, they're going to kill me because I cheated on my husband. And Jesus turns around and there's this group of people there ready to stone this bitch. Actually stone the bitch.
That's how they handled business back in the day. Yeah. They get it done. There ain't no trial. Done.
And Jesus is like, let he who has not sinned throw the first stone. And couldn't one of them motherfuckers throw a stone. So that's what I'm getting at, And then also the teaching of Jesus being hung on the cross and that moment where he says, forgive them for they know not what they do. Then that is the ultimate unconditional love lesson.
Right. And that's where the humanity in him came out, right. Because I don't know that he knew who he was early in his life. I don't think he knew. You don't have any writing about it.
None of us do. That leads me to another thing. I believe that I'm God. I believe you're God. I believe Terrence is God. I believe
everything.
Everybody is a piece of God. We're a part of a collective soul, a collective consciousness, whatever you want to call it. But then if we're in a computer program, free will kind of gets messed up in there. But then also Jesus is black, Ronald Reagan was the devil, and the government is lying to you about 9/11. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Real talk. Boondocks. Bam. You know what I'm saying? No, but I don't want people to think that I'm a bad person because I say things like that.
Well, they will, because that's just how people are.
Well, see, this is the thing. They're scared of freedom, and I believe in freedom.
That's right.
You can say whatever you want to say. I don't care. And the thing is I read a quote the other day that really comforts me, and it's Aristotle. He said, the only way to avoid criticism is to say nothing, do nothing, be nothing. And I was like, thank you for saying that, very smart man of Greek descendant.
That's why a lot of people keep their mouth shut.
Yeah, So, do you think that they were, like there's this one, Bud Hopkins? Mm-mm. Okay, he's a guy that puts people under, hypnosis and then takes them back into their suppressed memories and stuff.
Right.
And he goes and he studies abduction cases. And there's this one case in New York. He wrote a story about it, a book on it. And there's these two people, and they're living in New York City, and they don't know each other. They live in different parts of the city, and they've been. This is the crazy thing. They were being abducted through the window of skyscraper apartment buildings, and time would stop. Somehow the aliens were able to stop time completely, pull them out of through their walls, into the spaceship, do all kinds of crazy stuff to them, insert them back in. Now, that would lend us to the theory of being in a computer program.
Yeah, or you look at the fact that matter is matter, whether it's that wood
and
right
they can
there,
manipulate it somehow.
It can be manipulated. I mean, we're all, like you said, we're all made of the same stuff. You're talking about gold mining earlier. I don't buy that at all, because if these guys are traveling through time and space, they can grab an asteroid while they're zipping by and get all the gold they need. I mean, that's where I'm at on that.
Yeah, I can dig that. I thought that was a little silly too, but it's all a whole bunch of little things that I put into one big ball.
There's no doubt. We talk that ancient alien stuff. There's no doubt in my mind that our ancestors were visited by interdimensional or extraterrestrials. There's no doubt in my mind. There's great leaps in technology, great leaps in architecture,
right?
That just can't be explained. When you figure something out, you figure it out. But we got what is the hieroglyphs of helicopters and stuff like that, and spaceships. It's wild. It'd drive you crazy sometimes thinking about it, because I want to understand. That's what I see.
You remember that old comic book, Buck Rogers?
Oh yeah.
Okay, there was a helicopter in the Buck Rogers comic book before there was ever a helicopter.
Wow.
Now, how do you figure? I mean, it's some weird
Some of
coincidence
it's imagination,
stuff.
but the design.
Synchronicity.
I mean, look at what is that guy's name? Da Vinci. I mean, his sketchbooks. So he had several things.
Yeah, that's true too. All right, we're gonna take one more quick pause, and we're gonna thank some sponsors, and we'll be right back.